What if I told you there's a place where every color you can imagine has wings? Welcome to Cameroon, the beating heart of Africa's rainforest, a land where parrots speak in echoes, eagles scream across rivers, and the air itself seems painted with feathers. Here, the jungle never sleeps. Waterfalls whisper, cicadas buzz, and somewhere deep inside the emerald maze, 1,000 eyes watch you from the canopy. It's a crossroads of life, where savannas melt into swamps and mountains touch the clouds. Every bird here tells a story, some of love, some of war, and others of pure, impossible beauty. From tiny blue jewels flashing through the trees to giants crowned in golden green, Cameroon's skies are a living kaleidoscope. But among them all, one bird wears the crown, a symbol of the rainforest's royal color and grace. Let's begin our journey with the majestic Great Blue Turaco. If you've ever wondered what would happen if a parrot and a peacock had a baby, well, meet the Great Blue Turaco. This bird is the runway model of Cameroon's rainforest. Big, bold, and impossibly beautiful. At nearly 2 feet tall, with deep turquoise feathers, lime green wings, and a golden yellow bill topped with a red tip, the Turaco looks like it was painted by a dream. When sunlight hits its plumage, it doesn't just shine, it glows. Every flap of its wings feels like slow motion in a nature film. You'll often find it high in the canopy, leaping from branch to branch instead of flying. Because let's be honest, when you look this good, you don't rush. Here's the fun part. Unlike most birds, the Turaco has real blue pigment in its feathers. Most bluebirds just reflect light in clever ways, but this one, it's genuinely blue. One of the only species in the world that can say that. And despite its royal looks, the Great Blue Turaco is surprisingly chill. It spends its days munching fruit, calling out soft cock sounds, and minding its own fabulous business. But here's the twist. In local folklore, its feathers were once believed to bring luck, and even protect warriors from harm. So in a way, this bird was both beauty and charm bracelet. Watching it glide through the rainforest canopy is like watching a piece of the sky take flight. So here's my question. If color could speak, what would your shade of blue say about you? Because as our royal Turaco vanishes into the leaves, another legend calls from deeper in the jungle. A bird not known for beauty, but for its mind. Let's meet the genius of the African rainforest, the African gray parrot. If intelligence had feathers, this bird would probably be teaching at Harvard. Meet the African gray parrot, the Einstein of Cameroon's rainforest. Smart, talkative, and just a little too good at mimicking us. With silver gray plumage, a cherry red tail, and those piercing yellow eyes that look straight through you. The African gray is elegance wrapped in wisdom. You don't just watch this bird, you feel like it's evaluating you. Here's the fun part. These parrots don't just copy sounds, they understand meaning. Scientists have proven they can count, identify colors, and even use words in context. One famous gray parrot named Alex could hold entire conversations, ask for snacks, and scold his trainers when bored. Yep, sass included. And in the wild, they're the rainforest chatter network. They warn others about predators, mimic other bird calls, and sometimes even imitate monkeys just for fun. Imagine being so smart you prank the jungle daily and get away with it. But here's the twist. That same brilliance has made them a target. Because they're so charismatic and trainable, thousands were once trapped for the pet trade. Now they're endangered. And silence in the forest where they once sang feels like losing a voice of nature itself. Still, in Cameroon's untouched corners, you can hear them calling. A mix of whistles, clicks, and human-like chatter echoing through the canopy. It's both haunting and hopeful, as if the forest itself is remembering. So here's my question. If you could talk to animals, what's the first thing you'd ask this parrot? Because as the chatter fades, another sound rises. A scream, sharp and proud, rolling across the lakes and rivers of Cameroon. Let's meet the fearless hunter of the skies, the African fish eagle. If the skies of Africa had an anthem, this bird would be singing it. Meet the African fish eagle, the unmistakable voice of Cameroon's Great Lakes and rivers. Its cry, that long, echoing kyo-wee, is so powerful it's often called the sound of Africa. With a pure white head, chocolate-brown wings, and golden eyes that don't miss a thing, this eagle doesn't just rule the water, it defines it. Watch one glide above the Sanaga River at sunrise, wings stretched like a banner of freedom, and you'll understand why entire nations chose it as a symbol. To the people of Africa, it represents strength, vision, and pride. Here's the fun part. Its eyesight is about 5 times sharper than ours. From over 300 feet in the air, it can spot a fish rippling just beneath the surface. Then, in one smooth dive, talons out, water exploding, it snatches breakfast before you can blink. But here's the twist. It doesn't always eat alone. Sometimes it's robbed midair by opportunistic kites or other eagles. Nature's rulebook. If you can't out-hunt them, outsmart them. And believe it or not, the fish eagle's call is so iconic it's used in African movies and documentaries, even when the scene is thousands of miles away. That voice simply feels like Africa. In Cameroon, they perch on dead trees near water, calling to each other like royal trumpets at dawn. And when one soars, the entire sky seems to pause. So here's my question. If freedom had a sound, would it be a whisper or a scream across the lake? Because as that echo fades into mist, a flash of blue darts beneath the canopy, small, fast, and every bit as deadly in its own way. Let's meet the rainforest's tiny spearfisher, the blue-breasted kingfisher. If lightning ever decided to grow feathers, this bird would be it. Meet the blue-breasted kingfisher, a flash of turquoise and sapphire that slices through the humid air of Cameroon's rainforest. It's not the biggest kingfisher, but it might just be the most stylish. With an electric blue breast, inky black mask, and a scarlet-orange beak, it looks like someone painted it straight from a dream. You'll find it perched silently over rivers or forest streams, head tilted slightly, eyes locked on the water. It doesn't waste energy, it waits. Then in a split-second dive, it becomes pure motion, splash, strike, and back to the branch before the ripples even fade. Here's the fun part. Unlike many kingfishers, this one doesn't rely only on fish. Oh no, it's a versatile diner. Frogs, crabs, insects, even small lizards, all part of the buffet. It's basically the rainforest's version of a sushi-loving assassin. And if you're lucky enough to see one during breeding season, you'll witness something special, a duet. Males and females call to each other with soft, rolling whistles that echo through the forest, a love song made of water and air. But here's the twist. Despite its vivid colors, this kingfisher can vanish in plain sight. The blues and greens of its feathers blend perfectly with the filtered light of the canopy, turning it invisible until it moves. Nature's own cloaking device, its name, halcyon, comes from Greek myth, a bird that calms the sea. And when you watch it, you do feel calmer, like the rainforest itself just took a deep breath. So here's my question. If patience could be an art form, how long could you wait for the perfect moment? Because while this blue hunter reigns over the forest's streams, another creature moves beneath the surface, quiet, strange, and almost never seen. Let's slip into the shadows of the river with the mysterious African finfoot. Some birds demand attention with bright colors and loud songs, and then there's the one that says, "I'd rather not be found at all." Meet the African finfoot, one of Cameroon's most secretive river dwellers. So shy that even veteran birdwatchers call it the phantom of the waterways. It's a slender bird with olive brown feathers, a long neck, and bright orange-red feet that look like they belong to a cartoon character. But don't laugh too soon. Those feet are perfectly designed for stealth. You'll find it gliding quietly along shaded rivers, half hidden beneath overhanging vines, moving so smoothly that the water barely ripples. It doesn't swim like a duck or dive like a cormorant. It slides as if floating on glass. Here's the fun part. Despite its name, the finfoot isn't closely related to any duck or goose. It's actually in a family of its own, a rare evolutionary branch all by itself. It's like that mysterious cousin who never shows up to family reunions. And while other birds love attention, the finfoot lives in total secrecy. It builds its nest overhanging rivers. So if danger approaches, splash! It simply drops into the water and disappears. Ninja mode activated. But here's the twist. Scientists still don't fully understand this bird. It's rarely photographed, rarely studied, and vanishes before most people even realize it was there. It's the ultimate reminder that even in the 21st century, some mysteries still paddle quietly beneath the surface. Its call is soft, low, and haunting, a whisper through the mangroves. If you hear it once, you'll never forget it. So here's my question. In a world that rewards noise, could you master the power of silence? Because as our river phantom fades into the reeds, a burst of color breaks through the treetops. Green, gold, and full of life. Let's meet the forest's fruity, feathered delight, the African green pigeon. You know how pigeons get a bad rap in cities? Noisy, messy, everywhere? Well, this one is here to fix the family name. Meet the African green pigeon, the rainforest's hidden gem, and the classiest pigeon you'll ever see. Forget gray feathers and park benches. This bird is all lime green shimmer, with maroon shoulders and golden eyes that catch the light like polished amber. If city pigeons are fast food, this one's fine dining. You'll spot them perched high in fruiting trees, especially fig trees, stuffing themselves with fruit until their bellies look round as marbles. And yes, they get tipsy sometimes. Fermented figs can do that. Imagine a group of slightly wobbly green pigeons trying to land gracefully. It's pure comedy gold. Here's the fun part. These pigeons are amazing flyers. They twist and roll through the canopy like tiny fighter jets, dodging branches with millimeter precision. It's like they trained in rainforest acrobatic school. But here's the twist. They rarely come down to the ground. Everything, eating, drinking, resting, happens in the trees. They're basically living proof that some creatures really can spend their whole lives in the treetops. And despite being common across Africa, they're surprisingly quiet. Gentle coos instead of loud city chatter, as if the rainforest version of a pigeon understood the concept of indoor voices. Watching one bask in sunlight, you realize how underrated pigeons can be. Not pests, but pollinators and seed carriers, spreading new life through the forest. So here's my question. If you could reinvent your reputation, what would your new color be? Because as our elegant pigeon disappears among the figs, a flash of red and turquoise streaks across the sky. Louder, faster, and far more dramatic. Let's meet the crimson daredevil of Cameroon's rivers, the red-throated bee-eater. If the rainbow ever needed a spokesperson, this bird would land the job instantly. Meet the red-throated bee-eater, a flying gem straight out of Cameroon's riverside cliffs. With a crimson throat, emerald back, and blue tail streamers, it's basically a moving sunset with wings. You'll find them near sandy banks and savanna rivers, where they gather in colonies like noisy little fireworks, darting through the air with surgical precision. And yes, their name tells the story. They eat bees, a lot of bees. Here's the fun part. Bee eaters have figured out the trick to eating something that stings. They catch a bee midair, slam it against a branch a few times, then squeeze out the venom sac before swallowing. That's right. They're insect assassins and chefs. When hundreds of them hunt together, it's like watching a choreographed dance in the sky. Loops, dives, and zigzags glowing against the river light. It's chaos, but somehow elegant. Their call, giraffe, a sharp pert, 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 is the soundtrack of the African floodplains. Bright, busy, and full of life. But here's the twist. Bee eaters are family birds. They live in colonies, dig long tunnels into riverbanks to build nests, and even help raise each other's chicks. Teamwork, but make it colorful. And fun fact, some local communities believe seeing a bee eater before a journey means good fortune. Because if something that bright can survive the wild, so can you. Watching a red-throated bee eater in flight feels like catching a spark of joy itself. So here's my question. If your energy had a color, would it burn as bright as this bird's red throat? Because just upriver, another bee-eater takes to the skies, bigger, flashier, and painted in pink. Let's meet the flaming beauty of Cameroon's rivers, the northern carmine bee-eater. If color could fly, this is what it would look like. Meet the northern carmine bee-eater, one of the most spectacular birds in all of Africa, and quite possibly the most photogenic thing in Cameroon. Its body is a fiery blend of rose red, sky blue, and coral, like a sunset that decided to grow wings. When a flock takes off together, the sky turns into living confetti. You'll find them nesting in sandy cliffs along rivers, carving tunnels up to 6 feet deep. Tiny architects with serious real estate skills. And when they hunt, they turn the air into a circus of precision. Here's the fun part. These birds don't just chase bees. They follow large animals, buffalo, elephants, even humans, snapping up insects disturbed by their movement. Basically, they've turned opportunism into an art form. And get this, they even work with humans sometimes. Fishermen in parts of Africa welcome them because the birds eat the insects that bother people by the rivers. A true win-win friendship. Feathers and fishing lines side by side. But here's the twist. Their beauty hides a dangerous lifestyle. Bee-eaters depend on healthy riverbanks for nesting, and when floods or mining destroy those banks, entire colonies vanish overnight. A reminder that even the brightest colors can fade if we're not careful. Their call, a light chattering pre-pre-pre, fills the savannah with energy and joy. It's like laughter turned into sound. Watching a northern carmine bee-eater streak past in sunlight isn't just seeing a bird, it's witnessing happiness in motion. So here's my question. If joy had wings, would it fly as boldly as this? Because as the sky quiets, a flash of orange and blue darts through the shade, smaller, quicker, and just as breathtaking. Let's meet the rainforest's tiniest spark, the African pygmy kingfisher. If there were an award for cutest predator alive, this bird would win it, easily. Meet the African pygmy kingfisher, a creature so small it could perch on your finger, yet fierce enough to hunt anything that moves. Just 4 inches long, with a blaze orange belly, violet blue wings, and a tiny dagger of a beak. This kingfisher looks like it was handcrafted by a jeweler. You'll find it flitting through forest edges and shaded streams, darting from low branches like a flash of living fire. It doesn't dive like its bigger cousins. Instead, it snatches prey straight off the ground. Spiders, beetles, crickets. If it crawls, it's dinner. Here's the fun part. The pygmy kingfisher is so quick that high-speed cameras can barely track its hunting moves. It's like watching a miniature missile wrapped in neon feathers. But don't let its speed fool you. This little bird also knows how to chill. It spends hours sunbathing quietly on a branch, head slightly tilted, like it's contemplating the meaning of life. And when it's nesting time, it digs tunnels into riverbanks or termite mounds. Tiny burrows that look like secret hideouts. For a bird this delicate, it's surprisingly good at manual labor. Here's the twist. Despite its brilliance, it's incredibly hard to spot. Its size and silence make it blend perfectly into the rainforest glow. Many travelers walk right past it without ever realizing a gem just watched them go by. Watching an African pygmy kingfisher feels like catching a spark from the sun before it fades. So here's my question. If you could be small but unforgettable, would you take the spotlight or live quietly in brilliance? Because as our tiny hunter disappears into the golden light, a soft shimmer of emerald appears deeper in the forest. Rare, fragile, and almost mythical. Let's meet the hidden jewel of Cameroon, the African green broadbill. Deep in Cameroon's misty highland forests, where sunlight filters through moss and fog, a soft emerald glow moves among the leaves. That's the African green broadbill, a bird so rare and delicate that even seasoned naturalists describe seeing it as a once-in-a-lifetime event. Its feathers are pure rainforest green, not bright like a parrot, but soft, velvet, and alive with light. It blends so perfectly with its surroundings that it often disappears before your eyes. It's less like spotting a bird and more like seeing the forest itself breathe. Here's the fun part. This species is so unique, it has no close relatives in Africa. It's a genetic loner, a quiet survivor from an ancient lineage, a feathered time capsule. It feeds on fruit and insects, helping spread seeds that grow the forest it calls home. Every bite keeps a cycle of life turning, and when it calls, a soft, high-pitched whistle, it sounds almost otherworldly, as if the jungle is whispering back to itself. But here's the twist. The green broadbill is vanishing. Deforestation and mining are erasing its last refugees in the Albertine Rift in western Cameroon. Few have ever filmed it, and fewer still have seen it twice. It's a living ghost, and every sighting feels like a miracle. Watching one cling to a mossy branch, you realize you're looking at history, fragile, fleeting, and breathtakingly alive. So here's my question. If you could protect just one color of the earth, would it be this shade of living green? Because as the forest hushes, a dry rattle echoes from the edge of the clearing, a sharp contrast to all that softness. Something tougher, louder, and full of attitude has just landed nearby. Let's meet the long-beaked joker of Cameroon's canopy, the African gray hornbill. If attitude had a beak, this bird would be the poster child. Meet the African gray hornbill, Cameroon's feathered comedian, part bird, part trumpet, part drama queen. With smoky gray feathers, a curved ivory bill, and a tail that sways like a metronome, it struts through the trees as if it owns the entire rainforest. And honestly, it kind of does. You'll hear it before you see it, a loud laughing cackle that echoes through the canopy. It's like the forest's stand-up comic telling jokes no one quite understands, but everyone enjoys anyway. Here's the fun part. Hornbills have one of the most fascinating family lives in the bird world. When the female lays her eggs, she seals herself inside a tree cavity with mud, leaving just a small slit open. The male becomes her personal delivery service, bringing her food every day until the chicks are ready. It's devotion, with a touch of claustrophobia. But here's the twist. When danger approaches, that same mud wall becomes a fortress. The female and chicks stay completely safe inside, while dad plays guard outside like a loyal knight in feathers. When it's finally time to break free, the family literally bursts out of the wall, hungry, loud, and ready for life. Fun fact, hornbills play a vital role in the forest by spreading seeds. Every fruit they eat might one day grow into a new tree. They're noisy, yes, but they're also gardeners of the jungle. Watching one fly across a sunlit clearing, its massive beak glowing in the light, you realize it's not just a bird, it's a character. So here's my question. If loyalty came with a laugh, would you sound like a hornbill too? Because as this gray joker cackles into the distance, a darker, deeper voice rumbles through the forest. Bigger, bolder, and built like a legend. Let's meet the rainforest's black giant, the black-casqued hornbill. If the rainforest had a shadow king, this would be it. Meet the black-casqued hornbill, a giant among birds, with wings as wide as a hawk's and a beak that looks forged from obsidian. This hornbill doesn't sneak or hide. It owns the forest airspace. You'll hear its deep, rhythmic wing beats long before you see it, like distant thunder rolling through the canopy. Its feathers shimmer blue-black in the sun, its face a striking mix of ivory and charcoal. And that helmet-like casque on its beak, that's not decoration, it's a built-in amplifier, turning each call into a booming echo that can carry for miles. When the black-casqued hornbill speaks, the forest listens. Here's the fun part. These birds are master foragers. They fly long distances to track down fruiting trees, then gorge themselves before heading off again, like rainforest commuters on a breakfast run. And wherever they go, they scatter seeds, helping new life sprout across the jungle. But here's the twist. They mate for life. Their bond is so strong that pairs are rarely seen apart. When one calls, the other answers, a duet that feels more ancient chant than birdsong. And though they look intimidating, their family habits are tender. The male bringing food to the nesting female for weeks, sometimes months, until the chicks are strong enough to break through the sealed nest wall. Watching one glide between the tall trees of Cameroon is like seeing a living relic, something from an older, wilder world that somehow still breathes today. So here's my question. If love had a voice, would it echo through the forest like theirs? Because as the Shadow King fades into the distance, a flash of white and black replaces him, sleeker, sharper, and no less royal. Let's meet his striking cousin, the black and white casqued hornbill. If tuxedos could fly, this bird would be Fashion Week's opening act. Meet the black and white casqued hornbill, a masterpiece of contrast, half light, half shadow, in all attitude. With bold black wings, snow-white belly, and a giant ivory casque that looks carved by a sculptor, this hornbill doesn't blend in. It commands the rainforest spotlight. You'll find them gliding across Cameroon's treetops, their massive wings slicing through humid air with a deep whoop-whoop sound that you can feel in your chest before you hear it. Here's the fun part. These birds have an incredible talent for teamwork. Pairs often call in duets, the male's booming bark met by the female's softer croon. It's like a love song played on thunder and velvet, and that giant casque, it acts like a sound chamber, amplifying their calls so they can keep track of each other across the dense rainforest canopy. But here's the twist. Despite their regal looks, they're hilarious eaters. They toss fruit high into the air and try to catch it mid-fall, sometimes nailing it with style, sometimes not so much. Imagine a bird playing catch with its lunch, and you'll get the picture. Fun fact, these hornbills are among the few species that can eat fruits with seeds too large for other birds. They're like nature's delivery drivers, planting future forests one snack at a time. Watching one soar through filtered sunlight, black and white flashing between leaves, feels like seeing balance itself take flight. So here's my question. If balance was a color, would yours look more like shadow or light? Because as our tuxedoed flyer disappears into the canopy, the forest suddenly opens up. Water lilies bloom, and footsteps ripple across the surface. Let's step into the wetlands with the bird that walks on water, the African jacana. If miracles had feet, this bird would be walking on them. Meet the African jacana, better known as the Jesus bird, because quite literally it walks on water. With chestnut plumage, a sky blue bill, and long, impossibly thin legs, it seems to defy physics as it steps gracefully across floating lily pads. Each foot spreads wide, distributing its weight perfectly so it never sinks, like a feathered magician performing for the wetland crowd. Here's the fun part. Those long toes aren't just for balance. They let the jacana sprint, dance, and even chase insects on a surface most birds wouldn't dare touch. It's the closest thing to nature's hovercraft. But here's the real plot twist. In jacana world, the gender roles are completely reversed. The females are larger, louder, and in charge. They court multiple males, lay eggs in their nests, and then leave the guys to handle all the childcare. Yep, the dads do all the work. Incubating, protecting, feeding, while mom just checks in occasionally, like a queen inspecting her kingdom. And you know what? The males are fantastic fathers. They'll even carry chicks under their wings when danger strikes, their tiny legs poking out as the family glides away. It's both funny and heartwarming, like a dad on a grocery run with toddlers. Fun fact, jacanas are also great flyers, but they rarely do. Why bother with the air when you've already mastered the art of walking on water? Watching one stride across a blooming pond is like watching a dream come to life. Equal parts grace, comedy, and wonder. So here's my question. If you could break one rule of nature, which one would you choose? Because as the wetlands shimmer under the afternoon sun, a flash of red catches our eye. A bird dressed like fire, ready to turn the marshes into a runway. Let's meet the blazing beauty of Cameroon's fields, the black-winged red bishop. If confidence had feathers, this bird would strut like it owns the world. Meet the black-winged red bishop, the marshland's living ember. A bird so bright, you can spot it from half a mile away. During breeding season, the male transforms into a fireball. blazing scarlet from head to chest, with black wings and belly that gleam like polished coal. He puffs out his feathers, spreads his wings wide, and starts performing a wild bouncing dance. It's dramatic, it's ridiculous, and it totally works. You'll find them in grassy wetlands and farmlands across Cameroon, where hundreds of males perch on reeds trying to outshine each other like disco contestants. Each one builds several woven nests, hoping to impress passing females. It's basically bird speed dating with home improvement skills. Here's the fun part. The bishop's nest is a tiny work of art. He weaves grass and reeds into perfect spheres, suspended delicately above water to keep predators away. And when he's done, he sits there chirping proudly, as if to say, "Welcome to my crib." But here's the twist. As soon as the breeding season ends, the bishop loses his fiery red and turns plain brown again. From superstar to background extra in just a few weeks. It's nature's way of saying, don't get too attached to your wardrobe. Still, that brief burst of color is pure magic. A reminder that even the smallest birds can burn brighter than the sun when love's involved. Watching a field full of red bishops at sunset is like seeing sparks rising from the earth itself. So here's my question. If you could shine your brightest for one season, what would you do with that time? Because as the flames of the savanna fade, a wave of golden orange takes over the reeds. A new architect, a new kind of beauty. Let's meet the master builder of the wetlands, the orange weaver. If the phrase "hard work pays off" ever needed a mascot, this bird would raise its wing proudly. Meet the orange weaver, the architect of the wetlands and one of the most fascinating engineers in all of Cameroon. With fiery orange feathers, ruby eyes, and a tiny beak built for construction, the male orange weaver doesn't just build a nest, he builds masterpieces. Each nest is a perfect globe, woven from hundreds of strands of grass and palm fiber, swinging gently over the water like nature's chandeliers. And he doesn't stop at one. He builds several. Because in Weaver world, romance begins with real estate. Here's the fun part. The female inspects each nest carefully. She'll tug, peck, and even shake it. If it's not up to her standards, she rips it apart. No approval, no love. The male shrugs and starts all over again. Persistence is part of the charm. Their colonies can number in the hundreds, with dozens of glowing orange males working side by side. A construction zone made of song and sunlight. The air hums with chirps, wings, and woven dreams. But here's the twist. When the season ends, the males lose their brilliant plumage and turn a dusty brown, blending into the reeds. The spectacle fades, but the nests remain. Tiny reminders of effort, color, and love left hanging in the wind. Watching a colony of orange weavers at work feels like seeing determination turned into art. So here's my question. If your success depended on what you built with your own hands, what would you leave behind? Because as the golden glow of the weavers softens, a smaller spark appears nearby. Gentle, ruby red, and full of quiet warmth. Let's meet the sweet little ember of Cameroon's grasslands, the red-billed firefinch. Not every bird needs to be loud to steal the show. Some just glow quietly, like embers after sunset. Meet the red-billed firefinch, a tiny spark of warmth in the grasslands and villages of Cameroon. Barely bigger than your thumb, this finch wears a coat of rose-red feathers and a bright coral beak that looks like it's still hot from the forge. In the right light, it doesn't just shine, it glows. You'll find them fluttering near huts, fences, and farm paths, often in small groups, always cheerful, always busy. They're not shy of humans. In fact, they often share space with people, as if reminding us that wild beauty can live right next door. Here's the fun part. Firefinches love companionship. Males and females spend nearly every moment together, feeding, preening, and calling softly back and forth. It's the bird version of finishing each other's sentences. And their song? It's not grand or flashy, just a soft, sweet pee-pee-chew, like a whisper meant for two. But here's the twist. Despite their gentle nature, they're incredibly resilient. They thrive in cities, farms, and dry scrublands. Anywhere life still gives them a little space to sing, they're proof that love and light can survive even in the harshest corners of the earth. Fun fact, in some African cultures, firefinches are considered symbols of peace and faithful love. Seeing a pair near your home? That's good luck, a sign that harmony has taken perch. Watching them hop and flutter around at sunset feels like seeing joy in miniature form. So here's my question. If happiness could be this small and simple, would you still chase something bigger? Because just a few feet away, another flash of color appears. This time, turquoise and crimson, a perfect match to the firefinch's flame. Let's meet its dazzling neighbor, the red-cheeked cordon bleu. If love ever decided to grow wings, this bird would be its messenger. Meet the red-cheeked cordon bleu, one of the most charming and colorful little songbirds in all of Cameroon. With sky blue feathers that shimmer like tropical water and a rosy blush on each cheek, it looks like a tiny piece of heaven that forgot to fade. Even its name, cordon bleu, sounds fancy, and trust me, it lives up to it. You'll often find them near villages, fluttering around thatched roofs and open fields, in pairs so affectionate you'd think they were newlyweds on vacation. Here's the fun part. Males are hopeless romantics. When they fall in love, they sing a gentle, high-pitched tune while bobbing and offering bits of grass to the female. If she accepts, the courtship duet begins, a soft, back-and-forth melody that sounds like a whisper between lovers. And it gets even sweeter. Once they pair up, they stay close, almost inseparable. They feed side by side, build their nest together, and sometimes even preen each other's feathers mid-song. They don't just sing, they harmonize. But here's the twist. For all their sweetness, cordon bleu can be fierce when protecting their home. They'll chase away birds twice their size if they come too close to their nest. Tiny body, mighty heart. Fun fact, in many African cultures, they're seen as symbols of lasting love and friendship. A pair nesting near your house is believed to bless your family with peace. Watching one male sing under the golden light, cheeks glowing red like a blush caught in the sun, it's easy to believe that love really does have wings. So here's my question. If love could be a color, would yours shine as blue as this bird's? Because while this gentle singer fades into the fields, a shadow streaks across the sky, fast, fierce, and utterly unstoppable. Let's meet the lightning of Cameroon's savanna, the red-necked falcon. If Grace ever learned the art of speed, it would look exactly like this. Meet the red-necked falcon, Cameroon's sky-slicing missile, a bird built for precision, power, and pure poetry in motion. With a warm, rust-colored head, pearly gray wings, and eyes sharp as a blade, this falcon isn't just a hunter, it's a statement. You'll find it patrolling open grasslands and palm savannas, hovering briefly before exploding into a dive that can reach nearly 100 miles per hour. For a moment, time freezes. Then the falcon hits clean and exact, a blur of feathers and physics. Here's the fun part. Unlike most falcons, the red-necked falcon often hunts in pairs. One partner flushes prey out of hiding, while the other swoops in for the strike. It's teamwork at lightning speed, the kind of coordination that makes fighter pilots jealous. And get this, their prey isn't just small birds or rodents. They've been known to chase bats at dusk, snatching them mid-flight with almost supernatural reflexes. It's like watching a ghost duel at sunset. But here's the twist. For all its deadly grace, the red-necked falcon is surprisingly gentle with its mate. Pairs are loyal, often staying together for years, sharing food and raising chicks with quiet devotion, a killer in the sky, a soft heart at home. Fun fact, their nesting habits are kind of lazy. They rarely build their own nests, preferring to borrow those of crows or other raptors. Why waste time on carpentry when you can rule the air? Watching one soar above the savanna is like seeing speed take form, raw, flawless, unstoppable. So here's my question. If power required balance, how would you keep your wings steady? Because as the falcon fades into the horizon, the river below begins to stir. A ripple, a shimmer, and the long neck of another hunter rising from the water. Let's meet the master diver of Cameroon's lakes, the African darter. When the morning mist rises from Cameroon's rivers and the first light spills across the water, a long, snake-like silhouette glides beneath the surface. That's the African darter, the silent fisherman of Africa's wetlands, known to locals as the snake bird for the way its slender neck weaves through the water like a whisper. At first glance, you might think it's a snake, until suddenly it bursts from the surface, fish glistening in its dagger-like beak. With chocolate-brown plumage, a narrow body, and wings built for stealth, the African darter doesn't just swim, it vanishes. Its feathers absorb water, allowing it to dive deep and move without a ripple. It's a hunter designed for invisibility. Here's the fun part. After a successful dive, the darter must dry its wings in the sun, standing tall with wings spread wide like a dark angel. It's one of nature's most iconic poses, half statue, half spirit, and when it takes off again, you can almost feel the stillness it leaves behind. The river seems emptier without it. But here's the twist. This quiet bird is also a storyteller. Wherever darters are found, the water is alive, rich, balanced, thriving. Its presence means the ecosystem is healthy, a reminder that silence often hides strength. Fun fact, unlike most water birds, the African darter's bones are heavier, helping it stay submerged longer and dive deeper. Proof that sometimes you must sink before you can soar. Watching one stretch its wings under the golden sun feels almost spiritual, as if the river itself is breathing. So here's my question. If freedom required stillness first, could you wait long enough to earn your wings? Because as our darter lifts into the light, Cameroon's rivers shimmer behind it, alive, wild, and eternal. Our journey through Cameroon's wild wings is coming to an end, but the skies of Africa still hold 1,000 more stories. From the misty canopies of Mount Cameroon to the glowing rivers of the lowland rainforest, we've followed colors, calls, and wings through one of Africa's most magical places. 20 species, each a heartbeat of the jungle, each a living brushstroke on nature's canvas. From the clever African gray parrot to the graceful fish eagle, from tiny kingfishers to mighty hornbills, Cameroon's skies are alive with rhythm, mystery, and light. Every feather, every flight is proof that the wild still has wonders left to share. And though our journey here ends, the story of these birds continues. In every rustle of leaves, every shimmer of wings above the water. If this journey touched your heart, leave a like, share your favorite bird in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you can join us on the next adventure. Because next we fly east, to the mountain valleys and sacred lakes of Ethiopia, where legends and wings meet the sky. Until then, keep your eyes on the horizon and your spirit wild.